Hi everybody, and welcome to the Big Picture podcast. We're in Listowel at Listowel Writers Week in Kerry, and we've just had a brilliant week, and I've just witnessed a really great performance by Philip Reeve and my guest today, Sarah McIntyre. Hello Sarah.
Hello.
And welcome to the Big Picture podcast.
Thank you very much.
I want to talk, I love your drawings. You've done so many. How many books have you done at this stage?
Ooh, well, I've done 3 with Philip, or 4 actually now with Philip Reeve. We've just finished the 4th, and I don't even know how many other books I've done. Maybe 20?
Oh wow.
Maybe, yeah.
That's a lot. So you
Picture books, comics.
2 or 3 a year?
Usually about 3 a year, yeah, it would take a bit.
But you spend a lot of time promoting the books, doing events like this today.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fun to sort of meet the people who actually read the books, because you can sit and draw all day, and then they go out and you never see what happens. And when you actually meet the kids who have reading the books and they get excited about the drawing, it's very energizing. It kind of gives you ideas and gives you more excitement about what you're doing.
Yeah, and you love teaching kids how to draw. Can you remember back to when you first started drawing yourself?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I like to tell children a secret, because they assume that I must have been this genius drawer when I was a kid. And I say, actually, I wasn't very good at drawing when I was little. I was okay. I wasn't terrible, but basically I just kept drawing and I never stopped. And all the other people sort of, when they grew up, they sort of stopped drawing a bit, and I kept going. And then just practicing, you just get better at it. And eventually I was like, I could do this as a job. So it's not about like genius born skill, it's about just doing it and loving it.
And when did it sort of dawn upon you that it could be a career that you would enjoy doing? What kind
I
of
think
age?
when I was about 6, my friend Brittany and we did lots of pictures, and we put them in a red wagon and we took them around to all the houses.
Yeah.
And I think we charged 10 cents a picture, and we made quite a lot of money.
Well done, that's very good. That's a good strategy as well. And do you remember who your favorite artists were when you were starting out?
I really liked Morris Sendak. I liked The Wild Things and Where the Wild Things Are in The Night Kitchen. And just a lot of different illustrators. Sometimes I didn't even know who the illustrators were, or they just say the name of the writer, and I wouldn't kind of know who they were. I just loved their pictures. And as I've gotten older, I've come to actually appreciate who the illustrator is as a person and start following their work a bit more. And and then you get to meet them sometimes, and it's like, whoa!
I remember when I was a kid, I just didn't even think about a person doing the pictures that got into the books. And then when I started thinking about it, I just didn't think it was going to be someone like me, someone from Ireland. So we didn't have any school visits from artists back in those days. And so I think it's really important that people like you go around and meet kids, and they get so excited to see it. How important is your dress, your costume, your presentation?
I think it's just, you have to kind of go on stage and just impress them at first and make them want to know who is this person, why is she here? And if I just go on sort of looking like I could be anyone's sort of parent, they sort of, you have to win their trust a bit more.
But you dress like this anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, I always wear this. I think there's one secret that pugs have that make them perfect to win this race. What do you think it is?
Is it because they're cute?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's because they're cute. Help each other. Help! It's a story. And it's all about helping each other. That's a really big part of what making a book is about.
Help!
Helping.
Just had come, they were ready. At the Limpidville Institute of Technology, Professor Shackleton Jones had known about the coming winter. Okay, so does everybody else think it needs to make a miss a go? Who thinks it should make a miss a go? We need maybe one thing up here and one thing down there. So let's have one more idea, I guess.
So, Sarah, your funny accent, where does it come from?
It's very mixed up, I know. Nobody can tell where I'm from. I'm originally from Seattle in the States.
Which is a beautiful
Although you wouldn't even say
place.
Seattle, you say Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah.
I'm from Seattle.
With a D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I live in London now, and I have an English husband.
Yeah.
So I've been there about 15 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're truly Anglified. Do you think living in England has influenced your work at all?
Yes, I think there is a kind of British style, or English style at least, which is more sort of flat and linear. I think oftentimes American styles tend to be a bit more painterly, a bit sort of deeper, richer, almost kind of photographic realism. Which I do see as some of that. Actually, your work has a bit of that element, that sort of more.
Yeah, when I
detail.
discovered a lot of American illustrators, I love what they were doing. People like Norman Rockwell, who you probably.
Oh, I love the way he draws ears. They have big sticky out red ears. That's my favorite.
Yeah. He's absolutely brilliant. But you've come to use the classic technique of not dip pen and line. Do you use dip pen whenever you're illustrating?
And sometimes for example, for let's see, this book, which is my brand new one, no one's seen before. This is actually dip pen and ink, but this is watercolor in there. And then something like this pen, but then I actually use digital to color it, so it's just the black is
Let's
there.
hold that just right up there. How do you feel about using digital as opposed to watercolor? Do you like swapping between the two?
It just depends. Like sometimes for comics, I need a very clean look because there's so much going on in the panels that you don't want to muddy it. So I like digital for that. But when I'm doing big picture, big spreads, I actually prefer using paint. I just like the feel. I like having the whole page laid out before me and I can see the whole thing at one go. Whereas digital, you're always sliding it around the screen and it's a bit. I feel like I'm feeding the machine with stuff, and I don't like it.
But the
as
great
much,
thing about
but it's good.
what I love about digital is you can get any color you want, and you can make it any tone you want.
And it's much
Whereas
faster.
when you're working with watercolor, you can limit it how dark or how light you can go.
Yeah.
So
The other thing
that
is when
can
you're
be
finished it, you
frustrating.
can send it straight to the printer. Whereas with watercolor, they have to scan it and fix it. But then I quite like that too.
Do you have a good scanner at home? Do you work
I
with it?
do, but it's funny because one publisher lets me scan my own stuff, and the other publisher is like, no, we have to send it to our professional scanners. So you never know. Like,
Well, I invested in a good scanner, and it saved me a fortune with couriers.
Oh wow.
One last thing before we see you doing some drawing. I remember years ago, I got a little bit, not angry, but exercised about the fact that illustrators often have to take second place to the authors. And as you know, especially at the age group that you're working for, often the pictures are maybe more prevalent than the words.
Yeah, sometimes picture books, they tell the whole story,
So tell me how you feel about that whole thing.
I mean, if it's a book with just a few little spot pictures in it, fair enough, that's the writer's thing, and the illustrator's come in and done a bit. But when it's a picture book and it's lavish pictures that like tell the story, sometimes even opposite of what the text is saying, then I really think you need to put them both names. There's the writer and the illustrator, and they're equally important. And also, if you don't do that, kids are sort of missing a hero because they won't realize these have been produced by a person. They'll just think they won't even think about it. Or they might even think the writer did it. And that's not fair on the illustrator because you have to build your career. You've got to, your name has to get out there. People want to say, I want that book by Sarah McIntyre, as well as that book by Philip Reeve. And Philip's great because we work together and we brainstorm together the ideas. And
I didn't realize till today, but Philip's a good artist himself.
He's brilliant.
He's really
Sometimes
good.
he's better than me. It's like, but he likes writing more, and I like drawing more. So we do. And sometimes he helps me a little bit with the pictures. Like I run out of time, and he'll help me with the pencil roughs. And sometimes he doesn't know what to do for the story, and he'll just call me.
Do
and
you
I'll
work?
give
You don't
ideas.
work in the same studio then? No.
We don't usually. I was quite late on doing my thumbnail sketches for the last book, so he actually came to London and sat at my desk with me, and we both just hashed through them together. And usually it would take me about a week and a half, and it took me a day and a half because he was like right there, and that's quite intense having somebody there watching you the whole
That's
time.
brilliant. And do you like to work by yourself, or do you prefer to work with Philip or another author?
Yeah, I like working with other people. I mean, it's really good if you're an illustrator, you need to have a few books out with just your name, just because people won't take you seriously if you only illustrate. But I like working with friends. I like working with a person I know, and just like when we go on tour, we can just have a laugh and do stage events, and you've got somebody to riff off of. And
Well, I was going to ask you about that. The performance you did today, which we're going to see a few little snaps from. It was such a professional stage show. It was really terrific, and I really enjoyed it. How important do you think it is for young illustrators coming up that they learn to present themselves in some sort of professional way as performers as well as doing the illustration?
I think it really helps. I kind of wish there was an element in art college that was about public speaking and stagecraft, because I think it's important to, they tell you go on stage and talk about your book, but you don't want to talk about your book to a bunch of 6-year-olds for an hour. I mean, they won't sit still. You've got to have like a presentation, and it just makes it come alive to them. And it's fun when it goes well, when you really know what you're doing up there. And the thing is, a lot of illustrators, we're really shy. We're actually quite, in that the whole reason we went into it is we thought we could just sit in our pajamas all day and work at our desk and never talk to anyone. And then all of a sudden we're put on stages and we're like, and so
are you secretly a shy person?
I'm actually really shy, but I kind of, you learn how to cope. You just, because the thing is, my job is so important to me. You just get over it. You have to, because the job's so much more important than my ego, really. So it's like,
and you've got to do another performance very soon. So I
please.
can't keep you very much longer. You're going to do a very quick drawing for me. All right. Sarah's kindly agreed to do a very quick drawing for us. What are you going to draw for us, Sarah?
I think I'm going to draw a pug from Pugs of the Frozen North.
Brilliant.
Let's see, the way I draw pugs is I draw a big circle because they're pretty much all head. Actually, this pen is a bit ropey. I'm going to change pens. So I draw a big circle like that. And then I draw the nose, little M like that. Give it a little cap. And then a muzzle, just like a C, a backwards C. And it's really fun drawing the tongue. Pugs always have the tongue sticking out. So I go like that. And some big silly eyes. My pugs, they look a bit silly. They're not sort of exact representations of pugs. They're just the idea of a mad pug.
It's a very good cartoon of a pug.
Oh, thank you. Everyone draws them a bit different. Thank you. There we go. They always have a wrinkly forehead.
And you're so quick at it. My goodness, it's coming already.
Let's see, and I'll put some spots on its muzzle. Boom, 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 boom. I like making sounds when I draw. And some ears, some floppy ears. And we've got a little ear flopping off the back. It's running.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's good.
There we go. And they've got knitted jumpers in our book, so I'm going to draw a knitted turtleneck. Some little lines here. There we go. Ooh, little chin. There we go. And he's got a kind of a bean body, like a little jelly bean. And a little tail. It's like a Danish pastry. Like that. Look at this jumper. Stitchy lines. Maybe a few more lines just so you can see it's knitted. Don't want him getting cold. And some little sausage legs. Darkened. And then here's a cool trick. If you want to show he's up in the air, you can kind of make a shadow underneath. You don't have it touching his feet. It looks like he's jumping. So I'm going to give him a flea as well. He's got a little flea.
Oh.
It's a flea. And he's probably saying, yip! Little speech bubble. And he might have a name. I'm going to name him, I don't know, what should I name him? Listen, I don't know.
There's a good name.
Oh yeah, actually, what was it? Oh, Licks-a-lot. Sir Licks-a-lot. Okay, Licks. Oh, that was your name. That's a very good one. Sir Licks-a-lot.
That was our dog's first name.
And actually, maybe the flea has a name too, because that would make a good story about the dog talking to the flea. So the flea is named Betty. There we go, Betty. And I'll just sign my name. Always remember to sign your drawing.
Unbelievable, you've done that.
There we go.
Less than 3 minutes. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much, Sarah.
You're
It's
welcome.
Terrific.
Cool.
Thank you for joining me as my first guest
Oh, you're
on
welcome.
the
Thank you
Big
for having
Picture
me.
podcast.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Sarah McIntyre.
Thank you very much.